Dungeons in the Zelda series have always been a hot topic of discussion. With the release of the latest trailer, we saw a lot of shots of locations that could potentially be dungeons, but what kind of dungeons did we see? This past week, we also saw the new preview gameplay, and with it there was some talk about there being some sort of dungeons found, but they weren't exactly explored, so we're kind of in the same pickle. That is why today we're going to analyze and discuss some of the shots found in the latest trailer to see if classic dungeons will be making a return in Tears of the Kingdom, or if they're just a thing of the past. So if you enjoy the points I bring up or the discussion that's talked about in this video, be sure to drop a like to spread the word, and if hey you! Yeah, you! Do you enjoy all sorts of Zelda content like theories, analysis, music, and travel parodies? Are you subscribed to the channel yet? Well, what are you waiting for? For Tears of the Kingdom to get delayed again? Grab your phone and subscribe so you won't miss out on all the Zelda content. Now you're all set. Can you like turn me around? I gotta continue with the video. Thanks. We get a first glimpse at what could potentially be a dungeon when we are finally shown the Garuda Desert. Upon seeing this temple, not exactly sure if it's a temple or not, but for the sake of using a consistent term, that's what we're gonna call it. Upon seeing this temple rising from beneath the sands, I got very excited because 1, there's a high possibility that this is indeed a dungeon, and 2, I literally made a video more than a year ago hoping that something like this would happen. I saw my low budget temple rising animation brought to life by Nintendo, and that was so awesome. Now there was lots of talk about this being the Arbiter's Ground, so I went back into Breath of the Wild to see if it was indeed the Arbiter's Ground being shown. Upon arriving at the location, it didn't look the same. The sand formation and structures around were very different. It wasn't until I watched RMFH's video that this was confirmed. Now there are indeed a lot of differences, but it seems to be the same general location. I'm very excited at there being a possibility that we will revisit the Arbiter's Grounds once again. So with a dungeon/temple from Twilight Princess making a comeback, that proves that classic dungeons are coming back, right? Well, not exactly. We don't know exactly what purpose this location is going to serve, so to get more clear answers we need to dive a little deeper into some of the other scenes. In these shots from the trailer, it's safe to say that we are located inside Death Mountain and are exploring the Goron mines. If you need definite proof, we can see that the Goron sigil is on this minecart, so it's definitely not a detail up for debate. Now we know from previous mainline Zelda games that every time we go inside a volcano, that is equivalent to a dungeon. Whether it's in Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, or Twilight Princess. This is a theme that has remained constant. So this area right here, I believe it's safe to say that it is indeed a dungeon of some sort. Let's take a deeper analysis into how this dungeon could work and to see if classic dungeons are truly back. We're going to be looking into 3 things: the minecart system, the structures that we see, and the area over here that holds those weird plant life looking things that look like they're incubating some sort of life inside. The minecart system that we see leads me to believe that there will be areas of this location that will only be accessible by traveling with minecarts. If we look at the bottom left corner, we see that there's this mechanism that changes the direction that the minecarts are traveling, thus it would allow you to explore different areas of the dungeon. Much like in Minish Camp where the minecarts took you to different areas, the concept has already been used, so I know that the Zelda team can definitely use this game mechanic to give us a more classic dungeon feel to the game. Now we probably won't get that hilarious cart animation we saw in Minish Cap. We can't have everything, right? But I'm pretty sure that the intense battle we will have with constructs while riding them will more than make up for it. Now let's move on to these structures that we see towards the back. We see that the minecarts actually make their way throughout these underground buildings. How I believe this could potentially work out is that upon entering the room, the door to proceed further is locked and a puzzle needs to be solved to proceed even further, or maybe a monster needs to be defeated. Whatever the case, I believe the element of single room puzzle solving that we have seen in previous games could potentially be back. We also see that these structures are quite large. This would be the perfect location to use our ascend ability to reach rooms that are higher up that we couldn't reach unless we took a minecart to the room that was directly below. This whole location is a very open area which goes in line with the foundation that Breath of the Wild laid out. But since structures seem to be suspended from the ceilings of the cave, it doesn't seem like you could just walk up to them since they are most likely suspended over a pool of lava. The only method that would allow you to make your way into these buildings is via the minecart system, which creates some sort of linearity, which helps the cause that classic dungeons could be making a comeback. To finish off, let's look at this scene of the minecart fight. As many of your favorite Zelda YouTubers have pointed out, towards the very back we see this glowing dried up tree of some sort. Now, I don't think it's necessarily from the same scene from the previous trailer, but I do think that this area is going to act as a sort of subsection to the dungeon. I believe that you won't be able to get to the area with all the minecarts until you complete a certain task found in the area with all the organic plant life looking things. Now, this is just pure speculation, but these plants seem to produce light on their own. What if we need to, by some way, take the energy that these plants produce to power the minecart system to traverse to different areas of the dungeon? Again, this is just speculation, but there does seem to be two very distinct areas. If this is the case, this would allow for a very large open area, but you would have to traverse each area one by one because of the limitations imposed by the design of the dungeon, which is very similar to how dungeons used to work before Breath of the Wild, in the sense that you were limited to the areas in which you could access until you completed a certain task. So the million-dollar question, are classic dungeons making a return? In my opinion, they kind of are. We are definitely going to be seeing a big change in dungeon design that will hold some similarities to old classic dungeons. We won't see the same heavily linear dungeons from games past, but it seems they are incorporating closed areas that function with the openness concept that Breath of the Wild laid out. I'll keep my next point short, but in my opinion, the Divine Beast dungeons, if we can call them that, felt too cramped and there was very little to explore. What we have seen so far of the Goron mines, the minecart system, the secluded structures, and there being at least 2 sections to it, it looks so massive, and like I mentioned, there seems to be a lot of areas that can only be reached by following a specific path. I asked you guys in a community post whether classic dungeons were making a return or not, and about 80% of you believe they are, which is kind of funny because I asked the same thing on Twitter and I also got a 80% vote for yes on classic dungeons returning. We really want them back, don't we? Well, it looks like things are moving in that direction, so I think that's a very good sign. I know a lot of you are very against the classic dungeon template, and I get you, but the good thing is that the team seems to be building on what we saw in Breath of the Wild to make something even better. But what do you guys think? Well, I know that most of you want classic dungeons back, so do the points I brought up make the idea of classic dungeons returning more plausible? Or maybe there's more info that I missed that further validates this side? Let me know in the comments. I always love hearing from you all. You guys always surprise me with your ideas and your thought process. I just can't get enough of it. I appreciate the support that you guys always show the channel, especially for my previous upload. It was something different and it got a very positive response. So thank you all for that. that was kind of special. We're almost at 3,000 subscribers and it's all thanks to you guys. I plan on doing something special once we hit this goal, so stay tuned for more info on that. There are a lot of things I have planned for the summer when school is out. Many of you know, and if you don't, I'm a teacher, so the summer gives me a lot of time to work on videos and content. So I have quite a bit things planned for you all. Again, there'll be more updates on that later. Till next time guys, I'm Ace Monkey, have a great day, and thanks for watching.